Hello? Nope.
We can hear you.
He can't hear
All right,
us.
Jim is figuring out his audio. We've got a little bit of a technical delay to start the morning.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Which is kind of fitting for the day, Keegan, because the Masters got pushed back by about a half an hour.
Really?
And the first tee times were supposed to be around 8, and now I think they're pushed back to about 8:30. And we had, like a 2-week, maybe not 2 week, but a couple-day delay in the start of spring baseball. So, delays seem to be the theme for whatever reason.
What time's Tiger teeing off today? 10:34, is that what I heard?
What?
That's a great question.
All right, Jim, you good?
I'm always good.
Oh, well, you weren't. We're live. So you can go ahead and do another intro.
Uh-huh.
Okay, go ahead.
Wow, so just cold intro, right straight into it. We're going to get some producing some tips over the weekend. Or how about so you got to do a 5 countdown or something.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday. That means one thing, Dustin Schutte. Actually, I was going to try to think of something funny, but I couldn't think of anything quick enough. So, but welcome in. It looks like it's been a bad day for you, though. I hate that.
It's been a bad day to be a beer. What's today? It's today's opening day for baseball. See?
Oh, look at you.
Opening day
look
for
at
baseball. The start of the Masters. And I think I saw somewhere that it's National Beer Day or something like that. So, I mean, and it fits the color scheme of the Masters with the green and yellow. So what better time to break it out?
There is that. There is certainly that, sir. Don't want to forget, welcome in. Brought to you, of course, by our friends from the WOW Network and the WOW Club. Make sure you get your WOW Club. Join the WOW Club, brother. Man, it is something that will offer you some great dividends, I promise you. I took part in it last night out at Southern Stone. They had a bourbon tasting. And what was better, the food, the bourbon or the food. But it was incredible. But for WOW Club members, it was only $25. So you get an entire meal, dessert included, and a flight of bourbon. So the next time, or a flight of drinks.
The next time I come up, then that's going to be my treat, right? The bourbon flight tasting.
Well, that was last night. They did one before that. They did mezcal.
They did what?
Mezcal, tequila.
Oh, yeah.
So it's always something different. Maybe by the time you make it here, though, they'll be back around to doing bourbon again.
I'm going to call and set it up. Make sure that it's that's what's going on that week. I'll pay extra.
Well, my joke, you missed my joke there. By the time you actually get here, they'll probably be back around to doing the bourbon. He was supposed to be here on his last Indiana trip, and I think the trip before that. No hide nor hair yet. Don't forget, WOW Club members can earn exclusive discounts, dining dollars a spend, and more sent directly to your mobile phone. The WOW Club is comprised of all the great restaurants that you hear me speak about: Feast Market and Cellar, Courtroom, Fresh Fork, Cabello, BB's Market, the Allery. So all kinds of Southern Stone, of course, and more coming. But that was fun last night. But it was half price. Makes it even better. which is awesome. The Masters. Hello, friends.
Is there a better
how
intro in sports?
I mean, how is that? Is that I got it? I got it nailed.
You got it nailed. I mean, you could substitute in for Jim Nantz this weekend if you wanted to.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Augusta.
Okay, everybody always gives Jim Nantz a ton of credit, but I'm jealous. Like, you go from the Final Four straight to Augusta.
Someone mentioned that yesterday. Said, man, he's got it's just terrible. It's just the worst life you can have. They're probably helicoptering him out of New Orleans, straight up to Augusta National, right from a great Final Four. Or a great championship game, I should say.
Well, two of the three were good. The Duke North Carolina game was
absolutely. But and then up to the Masters, and which Tiger is playing in.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah,
so and how that has made it past me off the already. So how about that? What does that? I can't even imagine what that does to the golf ratings right there. Boom. No smoke there, smoke lock.
Well, let me tell you that I went to.
Of course, they're going to go up. I think they're going to go through the freaking roof.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I'm saying too.
And if he makes the cut, be nuts.
There's a chance that I don't know what the viewership ratings are like for the Masters, but I'm sure that if he makes the cut, he's in contention. He can't be at the bottom, I don't think. But if he's near the top or has a chance to win, this could be one of the most viewed Masters championships in history, I would think, because of the storyline that comes with it. And let me tell you, I've been to the Arnold Palmer Invitational a couple times, and the first year had a solid crowd, no Tiger. The next year, Tiger was in it.
That's why.
Insane. It was ticket prices went up. The amount of people there, it was. The change from one year to the next because he was in that tournament. And I think I went on a Saturday and he was I don't know if he was in contention, but he made the cut. And just the following that he had compared to the people that were near the top of the leaderboard. What he does to the game is it's crazy. I don't know if you can even really explain it unless you've been to a tournament that he's participated in. He's that intriguing.
I've been to the PGA.
Well, that counts.
It was one that he won in a playoff at Valhalla.
That would be awesome. Were you there for the final day? Did you see him win it, or?
You know what? I don't think I was. I don't think I was there on Sunday. It's been too long ago.
Okay, here's a question that I have for you now. Let's say you got tickets to the Masters, because I've had debates with people over this. You could pick any day to go to the Masters. Would you pick like a Thursday, Friday, or would you pick Sunday, the final round?
How is this even a debate? In what world is this a debate? That's like saying, hey, I don't even need to make an analogy, but that's just dumb. Sunday. I
think I would choose Sunday too, but the point against it is, if you go earlier in the week,
what do you got to get? You worried you're going to get caught in traffic or something? You're afraid they're going to run out of pimento cheese?
Or the peach ice cream sandwiches.
Those $1.25 pimento cheese, or is it $1.05? What is it?
I think the prices went up, but I
don't they don't raise prices, man.
They did. They went up like 50 cents. I'm telling you. I think the argument for not going on Sunday is that if you go earlier in the week, you then can sit at home and watch everything unfold on Sunday in front of your TV or multiple TVs, whatever the case might be. Whereas if you're there on Sunday, you might get a good seat for the final hole, but maybe you don't. So I think it's a harder decision than people think. Because you're probably not going to be able to get as good of a view of who's going to win the tournament and see what's going on, see how it all unfolds on Sunday.
You know what I got to say to that?
You don't care.
DVR, baby. You record that stuff. You go back and watch that crap later.
Oh,
You be a part of the moment.
That's a great point.
I can look back. I was fortunate to be at Crooked Stick. Too many sticks. At Crooked Stick on Sunday in 1991 when John Daly rocked the golf world and upset everybody by winning the PGA.
That's pretty awesome.
It was. I mean, that was, and can you imagine? Would you have rather been there or been at home watching on your couch? You can't feel that moment on your couch.
That's true.
I mean, think about that. Point. I mean, it's about being in the moment. Now, yeah, you can watch a game and be and be into the game as much as doesn't matter where you are, but there's nothing like being there.
Now, okay,
it's not the same. It's just not.
So here's the other question I'm going to pose, because you just said there's nothing quite the same. Now you look at some of those from photos from the Final Four from inside the Caesars Superdome or whatever it's called. Would you pay money to be up in some of those seats? Up towards the top? I mean, I cannot tell you that you'd be able to see the ball go through the hoop.
For what?
For the Final Four.
Me personally?
Yeah.
Now? I don't not know, but hell no.
There's a line of demarcation for me.
Now, I did back in 2002. I did in the old Georgia Dome, in the old Georgia Dome. I sat in section 300.
And how was that?
About like you would expect sitting in section 300 would be.
See,
but wait a minute. But I was there, and it was completely. I didn't care. It didn't care. I'd rather be in the moment, in the environment.
But aren't you far enough away from the moment?
There's no comparison. There's just no comparison between.
See, I think I've reached.
Even when I'm covering an event, even just covering events, being there is night and day different. You get a feel. It's oh my God. There's no argument.
Covering an event is a little bit different, in my opinion, for the fact that if you're covering it, you're not paying to get in, right? So, and
that's not relevant. That's not relevant. I don't think. What's that relevant about?
If I'm paying or I don't know how much those tickets are, but let's say they're $200, and I have to sit and watch the game on the jumbotron. To me, I'm removed from the environment at that point.
Man, I ain't paying $100 unless you're rolling in the Rolling Stones or something.
But that's my point.
Are the Rolling Stones playing at halftime?
I mean, even if they are, do you care?
I'm not going. I'm not paying $100.
This is why I don't really go to concerts either, because you have to sit so far away from the stage, and it's basically like listening to it on the radio.
Boy, this conversation just went off the rails. I don't even know what we're talking about. Tony says, good morning. Interesting Indiana football commitment yesterday. DeClan McMahon, grandson of WWE owner Vince McMahon. Does this mean the announcement is forthcoming of WrestleMania 39 will be at Memorial Stadium. That's a good one, Tony. Can you smell what the Rock is cooking? Oh, it just gave it a new name. So they call it The Rock, Dustin. Had you known that, that would have been funny. And had anybody that's listening known that, that would have been funny. That was pretty quick. I got to give myself credit.
That was pretty good. I know they call it The Rock, Defend the Rock, but I didn't register the 2 and 2 together until you mentioned it.
Boy, what a journalist you are. That journalist mind was just cooking, wasn't it?
Hey, I got to cover 14 teams, man.
I'm kidding, man. Oh, man, that's what this is all about. Oh, there you go. See, he even said it right afterwards. There you go. He's called The Rock.
There you go. Now. Boom.
I didn't even see that. So Tiger starts good. Tiger will be we'll be off by the time Tiger starts. So you don't have to worry about missing anything. Thanks a lot, Sean. We appreciate you. Robert Carter jumping on the Andy Moore Honda hotline. I got to keep. Howie is like he needs to write the scripts for the show. He's pretty funny.
Who does? Howie?
Yep. He's funny. He's just always quick. Boom. He's always pretty quick-witted. So he should write my scripts.
There you go.
It's opening day. That's right. Opening day. But the Reds are on the road. That's not right. That's
down here in Atlanta, baby.
Down here in Atlanta, baby. Live from the Apollo, it's Big Daddy Kane. Oh yeah, that's from earlier. Want to make sure I don't miss anything as we go out of here. Donut hose. Ooh, that sounds good. Little cinnamon sprinkled on them. Ross is on board. Robert the Truth Carter. Scary campfire story Schutte. There we go.
What?
It's just I'm trying to hit all these comments. I'm not gonna be able to hit them all. So I'll just wait. We got to take a break. Who's coming up next? I don't have it on my list.
I believe it's Matt Taylor.
Producer.
It's Matt Taylor.
Come on, let's go. Chop, chop, baby.
I just said that.
Chop, chop. Hey, we've got a lot more coming up on Indiana Sports Beat. We're having a lot of fun today here on this Thursday. Brought to you by our great friends from the Wow Club. Make sure you go to your app in your phone or online, and join my Wow Club. It gives you great benefits. I'm telling you, and I used them last night to save half off of this incredible meal. But you earn exclusive discounts, dining dollars to spend, and more sent directly to your mobile phone. So join my Wow Club. And you can do that at mywownetwork.com. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this. There we go. Tiger 2000, Bob May.
I swear to God, if I cannot get this thing to work on my Roku.
I swear to God, if I can't get this thing to work on my Roku.
You know what? Walk off the set.
It's just coming. They're just coming up. They're just rolling today. I don't know why.
What?
They're just rolling today. I can't help it. You're just throwing out these perfect little bitchy things, little bitch things they're perfect little.
This is what I do every day of my life, so I don't have anybody to call me out for it anymore. So I'll get that every Thursday.
A bitchism.
A bitchism.
If it ain't a wig at my iPad.
What does that mean? Air quote producer.
He's saying I'm not a producer.
Oh, yeah. Look at him. Slinging the mud, baby.
He got me.
It's early. Who called that son of a... That's one of the greatest jokes of all time. I wish I could tell it to you. I wish my friend was listening. And it's Preacher. There's an old joke. How much time we got?
You got a minute and a half.
Remind me in the next break, and I'll tell it.
Okay.
Is it good for YouTube?
Yeah, I can say that on YouTube.
Okay.
New church needing to preach. They got him a new preacher, and he's up there on the stand. So I got to start it, and I tease people, and I got to lure them in. And so he's up there, and he's like, "Oh, okay, we gotta sing. We're gonna sing us a hymn now." And they didn't. They had it. They couldn't get him a piano player. They got a guy that played the. Oh, daggone it! It's been so long since I told that stupid joke because that's part of the.
Doesn't even know it.
Plays the piccolo. The judge says, "I don't play the piano none, but since I play the piccolo a little bit." He goes, "Oh, piccolo. I guess a piccolo will be okay." He said, "Yeah, all right, come on." So they got a piccolo player up there, not a piano player for the hymns. So the preacher says, "Everybody, we're going to turn to page 234. We're going to do hymn number 234." Mr. Preacher, I can't do 234. How much time we got before we come out of break?
5, 4,
God
3.
damn. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio Fire Drill here with Dustin Schutte from Saturday Tradition, joined also by Matt Taylor of the Indianapolis Colts. Matthew, how are you doing, sir?
I am fantastic. Good to be with you guys. I would love to know what that story you were about to tell off the air was. Maybe we can do that another day, huh?
Oh, absolutely. I figure it's pretty funny as a joke. It's pretty funny, actually. But definitely an off-air finisher for sure. How are you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I just got back from Disney World. I am tired. I am tired. So I did a week in Disney World. I got my steps in. I got my exercise. I'm ready to go. There you go. Dustin knows what's up.
I do.
About all that.
I got my Haunted
Did you
Mansion
get your-
mug I'm drinking out of today.
Oh, perfect. Right on cue, man.
There we go.
I don't care about all that. I want to know, did you get your ears, man?
I did not get the ears. The 5-year-old got the ears. 2-year-old got the ears.
How do you go down there and not get the ears? Had you ever been there as a kid?
I had never been there. That was my first time there.
See?
I was blown away.
And you don't get the ears, man. You're disappointing me.
Here's the thing about Disney, and Dustin, you obviously already know this. Like, if you think you're just going to show up, buy a ticket to Disney World or the Magic Kingdom and just show up and wing it that day, like, it ain't happening. Like, you are going to be really, really disappointed. You're going to come away frustrated and mad because everything there has to be coordinated. Reservations have to be made. Lines have to be, you got to have the fast passes, and you got to be really strategic about where you're going and what you're doing at what time. Otherwise, you're just going to sit in line and not get anything and do anything or eat anything all day. You'll just be, you'll just wander to the park pissed off.
And I have to say that I lived down there, worked there for a little bit, Matt, for about 2 years. And
wait, you worked at Disney?
I worked at the Disney Springs at the House of Blues for a couple months when I was in between jobs.
He was one of the princesses. He was one of the princesses.
So, Dustin, we ate there. We had dinner there.
Did you really? How'd you like it?
Dinner there? I thought it was great. That was really good.
See, one of the
princess that needed to shave.
Yeah, exactly. One of the best things about working at the House of Blues was, even though I worked in the retail area, they wanted you to know everything about the concert venue, the restaurant, and obviously the retail. So there was one day when we did a training and we ordered everything on the menu at our table, and you try everything on the menu so you can explain it to guests. I mean, it was, wow. And you get paid for it. So it was incredible.
No, that was my experience. And that jives with what I'm about to say. Is like everything at the park is first class. It's top notch. Customer service is out of this world. Everybody knows every answer to every question because of the training. And I you're just blown away at the amenities. Everything's, again, top notch, and the people are nice. Customer service is great. The landscaping, everything's perfectly manicured. The park is clean. It's funny. We went to
commercial for Disney here today.
I'm just saying, I'm just blown away because
I'm kidding.
Dustin knows this. I mean, we went to the Magic Kingdom on back-to-back days. So we went on Sunday and then Monday. And
I've heard that they have like little, even the gerbils are trained to come out of and grab up cigarette butts if they see them out there and take them out.
That's my point. It's like there's probably, what, Dustin, would you say 60,
Gremlins.
70,000 people at the park on a given day, and the park closes the park closes at 11 p.m. and then it opens back up at 7 or 8 o'clock. And when you get there the next morning when it opens, it's as if the day before never happened. Like it's perfectly clean, manicured. I mean, it blows me away. It was impressive.
It's almost, they probably all have almost as many people working overnight as they do during the day when it's full.
Yep. I mean, that's something that does happen. And I mean, it's an incredible experience. And I'm glad you were able to go for the first time, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. One of the nice things about living down there was the fact that, and now you probably will appreciate what I'm about to say, is you don't have to do everything. I mean, if I wanted to say, I want to go see this show or I want to eat at this restaurant, I'm not having to plan a full day at Disney. You can go and do one ride. You can spend 2 or 3 hours in the park, and then you can go home. And then you realize when you're there as a visitor from out of state or from further away, I mean, 9 or 10 hours at Disney will kick your butt.
Oh my God. That is so true. I mean, somebody in, one of our, we went with my in-laws. And so my father-in-law was tracking his steps. And the first day we were there, which was the longest day we were at the park, I think he was at 22,000 steps for the day.
Oh, wow.
And so you get home and you don't realize how tired you are until you sit down and you take your shoes off and you're like, oh my God, I could fall asleep right now in 35 seconds. And all you did all day was you're just on your feet, you're walking around, but it takes a toll on you standing in line and crisscrossing the park 4 or 5 times to get to different places. So
crisscross in the wrong direction.
See, yeah, there you go. But yeah, it was, listen, it's not a vacation. It's a trip, and it's an experience. It's for the 5-year-old. She's a 5-year-old little girl that's really into the Disney princesses. And so she was just obviously on cloud 9. So
that's all that matters right there.
So I'm not sure if we're going back anytime soon. So we made it a point to, go all out, do everything we were supposed to do and have fun doing it.
Well, I've got 3 things, excuse me, to throw out there at you. The first one, of course, because I don't think we've gotten to do this yet, have we? But talk about a little ice. Matty Ice, Matt Ryan. Yeah. I don't think we've got to speak about the Colts' newest acquisition.
And we met him 2 weeks ago, I think. Gosh, it's crazy. It feels like longer than that. But yeah, this is it's an exciting move because what you're getting right now is a guy that still allows the Colts to compete, to have a legitimate chance to be a force in the AFC next season. And it's a crowded conference. We've talked about that. But also, more importantly, you have a legitimate chance to win the AFC South next year. You are a legitimate contender to win the division for the first time since 2014 because he's one of the most prolific quarterbacks in the NFL since breaking into the league in 2008. I mean, I think he is 8th all time, or excuse me, he's 5th all time in passing yards and 8th all time in passing touchdowns. And I think had he won that Super Bowl a couple years ago, I think we'd be talking about as if this guy's a potential future Hall of Famer. And he's 36, going to be 37 next month. And he still looks like he's in really good shape and a guy that can play for another, he thinks he can play well into his 40s. At the very least, I think he can play for another 2, 3, 4 years. He's under contract for another 2. And I think bigger picture, everybody knows what this is. It's on the par with the Phillip Rivers a couple of years ago. I think everybody thought back then that the Rivers deal would be at least a 2-year marriage between he and the Colts. It didn't work out that way. I think this is a little bit different. I think everybody knows this is going to be at least 2 years, probably more. But what this does, it allows the Colts time to really figure out what they're going to do long-term at quarterback. Maybe it's next offseason or the offseason after that, where they trade up in the draft and get that future quarterback. Because ideally what's going to happen is, again, the Colts will compete and they'll be, a legitimate force in the AFC. But with that, you're going to be picking in the 20s or the 30s, depending on how well this goes. And that's a really hard place to be in, to find, future long-term franchise quarterbacks. But next offseason or the offseason after that, if they want to trade up and get a guy they absolutely love, that they fall in love with, it allows them, an opportunity to do that without pushing the envelope, without going all in on a guy they're just not sure of. So it buys them time to do that either in the draft or to pull off a big trade for someone, like we've seen the Rams do with Matthew Stafford, or what the Broncos did with Russell Wilson. It allows them time to really kind of figure out and hone in on who that long-term quarterback is going to be, but also at the same time not mortgaging the great roster that you have right now with guys like DeForest Buckner and Darius Leonard and Jonathan Taylor and Quentin Nelson. I mean, this team's ready to go. They were a quarterback away last year, in my opinion, in a few games from making the playoffs. They were 9-8, and obviously the season ended very poorly down the stretch. And it's not all on Carson Wentz, right? There's a lot of areas of the team that did not play well down the stretch of the season. But I think Matt Ryan gives this offense stability. He'll make plays that maybe the offense didn't make last season to put them in a better spot. And it's just exciting because they now can win in the short term while they figure out how they're going to win in the long term without mortgaging, a lot of draft picks and overextending themselves for someone they're just not dead set on.
And I think you hit the nail on the head, Matt. And one of the first things that I thought of when, it was announced that Matt Ryan was coming to Indianapolis was the fact that I thought back to Jim Irsay and how he's talked about in the past, I want to be able to win now, but we also want to set ourselves up for success in the future. It's almost you're going to have your cake and eat it too, because they get that impact quarterback that can help get them to the playoffs and maybe make a push towards the Super Bowl. But then, like you said, they're going to get this opportunity now to buy some time and see what they can do. Maybe you draft a guy, maybe you get a guy through trades, and then kind of groom your next quarterback hopefully for the next 8 to 10 years.
Yeah, and maybe that guy can be on the roster under Matt Ryan and learn from one of the great ones of the last 15 years or so. Maybe that's an option as well. But it's, as soon as Andrew Luck retired, the Colts were in probably the most unique situation in the NFL because they needed a quarterback, but they were a good team. Normally, if you need a quarterback, you're an awful team like the Jacksonville Jaguars or the New York Jets, right? You're picking high in the draft, and the Colts haven't been in that situation. And, this is not making excuses whatsoever because you are what your record says you are. But I'd like to see other teams in the NFL, have 4 different quarterbacks in 4 years and see what their record is. Have a franchise quarterback that you thought was going to be your guy, that you built the team around, or at least on offense built the team around for the next, you thought he was going to be there for the next 6-7 years. And all of a sudden, just 2 weeks before the season, he has had what happened to him, and then, decided to take his livelihood in his own hands and decide to retire. That's a really hard position to be in. And I think all of the decisions that the Colts have made at quarterback since then have been logical. And if you just take them in a vacuum, they've made a lot of sense. I mean, obviously in 2019, 2 weeks before the season, you got to ride with Jacoby Brissett. Then in 2020, there's that connection with Phillip Rivers. It's a very unique situation to be in. You got to capitalize on that. And again, he decides to retire. Not many people thought that was going to happen. And then in 2021, you bring in Carson Wentz. You trade a first-round pick for him. You don't do that move thinking it's only going to be 1 year. It doesn't work out for whatever reason. And now here they are again going after Matt Ryan. So it's no excuses. You got to win the division. That's always the goal. Got to make the playoffs. The standard is much higher than the results have showed these last couple of seasons. But the fact that I think they're 7 games over 500 in the last 4 years with 4 different quarterbacks, like that's pretty impressive for Frank Reich being able to, maximize the really crummy hand he's been given in this game of poker at quarterback. So again, no excuses, but I think right now the Colts are in a good position to be able to, again, be a viable contender for the now, but also not mortgaging what they're trying to do long term and keep this roster, this core group of players intact and have a legitimate chance to win.
How about Indiana's newest commitment, Declan McMahon? You may not be.
Is that the
Go
McMahon of the? Is that the McMahon that I'm thinking of?
Can you smell what the Rock is cooking?
Is that the XFL McMahon? Because if it is, that's awesome. Is he a good player or just a good last name?
XFL. Yes, that's not what I thought of him as first.
Well,
XFL,
but he was in the XFL.
No,
he started.
I get it. It's
not
great,
a football
actually.
tie.
It is. It's actually a great one. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, it's his grandson
Okay.
of Vince McMahon.
There you go. That's all well and good, Jim. If he makes a couple of special teams tackles, I'm all for it. But who's playing quarterback?
Man,
Yeah,
hold on now. You got to get some celebrity appeal in here. That's what I'm thinking.
It is a national program now. I forgot about that.
I'm thinking they bring in some maybe Rick. Oh man, whoo! Bring in some Ric Flair. How about that?
Is Stone Cold's nephew available? I mean, is he a player too?
I got to go with Ric Flair, man.
What about Diamond Dallas Page? Does he have
If John was here today, we would be listening to Ric Flair's famous, I'm a Rolex wearing, diamond jeans wearing, jet flying, all that stuff he does, but I can't memorize it. But
let's go.
Well, brother, I appreciate you. I'm glad to see you back and running around. How are the kiddos?
Kiddos are good. They're tired out too from they got worn out too from Disney World. So
that's what you want, man.
They are recovering.
They recovered too fast, unfortunately. They were ready to go again.
No doubt. No, we had to have some built-in off days, some pool days down at Disney World.
That's right. Yeah.
Those were for Dad, not for anybody else.
So go out and have another one, man. Go out there and enjoy this.
Hey, Jim, $20 margaritas, man. They work. They're effective now. Let's go.
They just kind of have an effect on you in a lot of different ways.
For $20, I'll take the placebo effect. I'll make them work. Let's go.
It's like, can you punch me in the face when you give me this, please?
I felt like that a lot last week, but hey, it's the most magical place in the world, right, Dustin? You only go once.
That's right. Absolutely.
My, oh my, I never thought we'd be talking about Little Red Riding Hood today. But, hey, we got plenty more coming up. The great Matt Taylor from the Colts, joining. We appreciate you, brother. Have a great day.
All right, guys. See you well. Be
greatly.
Good. Be good.
We've got lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat, of course, brought to you by our good friends from the Wild Network, like Southern Stone Restaurant, located at Patterson and Rogers, right here in Bloomington, where I was last night for that incredible bourbon tasting. That was awesome. Logan, I have to talk about that more later. Logan, the mixologist. But coming up next, Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News, Fox and BTN. Back with more right after this.
This goddamn thing.
Oh, so I was telling my joke. Where was I? Mike, you're gonna see. Mike didn't even hear the start of it. Where? What joke was that? I forget. Oh yeah.
Oh.
New church, Mike, and so they didn't have a piano player. So this dude says, "Hey, I can't play the piano, but I can play the piccolo." He said, "Well, I wanted a piano player, but all right, I'm in a jam. Piccolo player be all right, I guess." Dustin's missing out on this. He's going to be so mad. Daggone it. I'm not telling it twice. I got to wait. Gee whiz, Dustin.
I can hear you. I'm just
okay. All right, good timing. So anyway, so they start church on Sunday, and piccolo players up there, and the preacher say, "Hey, everybody, we're gonna turn to hymn number 234. We're gonna sing hymn number 234 today." Hey, sir, Mr. Preacher, hey, Mr. Preacher, I can't do that 234. That's a tough sucker, man. I can't do 234. Oh, okay, Alex, scratch that. We're gonna do 108. Turn to 108. Mr. Preacher, I can't do 108. That's a tough one. I can't do 108. That's too hard. I don't have enough time to tell this joke.
You have a minute.
It's a longer than that. I'm rushing. I'm losing my timing. You just can't. You can't rush an artist, man. I'm kidding. I don't know if it could be told in this setting with the punch that it needs. Mike, how are you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Oh my God, I wish I would have thought to tell you this on your way down before you went, and I need to save this for on the air, and I should, but the dome there has the single most the Superdome has the single most favorite delicacy of all time for me for a stadium food, the gator dogs.
Ah,
And
I don't know if
I
I'd
remember
taken a chance on a hot dog on a game day, man.
these
On
were not
Saturday-
hot dogs. These were not hot dogs. These were gator dogs, baby.
So they're like actually gator?
I ended up having 3 of them.
You still don't know what you ate?
Well, that's what they were supposed to be. They sure tasted good, a lot better, and it tasted a hell of a lot better than chicken.
All right, we're
I have
back.
had alligator, but I don't think
5,
I want it in a hot dog.
4,
What the hell is
3,
happening today?
2.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday. And joined now by Mike DeCourcy. Normally joins us on Tuesday, but he was traveling this week, coming back from the men's Final Four in New Orleans. I was just sharing a story in the break there. My favorite, oh my gosh, I was down there for the Sugar Bowl, Louisville in Florida, and I had this gator dog, and I'm like, oh my God. I went back and had another one, and I had another one. I spent $25 on those 3 dogs, and that was a long time ago, but I tried, when I got home, I tried to find them online. Tried my damnedest and could not find them. And to this day, I've got a friend who I was one of the guys I was down there with, but he'll just throw that out every now and then. Gator sausage.
So it was legit alligator.
Well, it's supposed to have been. And I would imagine, who do you think anybody in Louisiana would say something that's not the truth?
Well, they could have been branded that way. They could have been
That was
actual
a
hot
joke.
dogs
I was
from
kidding.
Schutte.
I'm like, that was. It may have been. It probably came from Wade White or Mr. White's company.
I have had fried alligator years and years ago, and it wasn't bad. I liked it, but I don't think on a game day, Jim, that I'm going for any gator.
Well, they probably have as little of it in there as possible. But the spice. It was good enough that I'm like, dang. Because if it hadn't just been a regular hot dog, I'm not going back and having 3 hot dogs. But man, oh man, I didn't. That's all I wanted for dinner. I did. I enjoyed it that much. We were that way, but I enjoyed some Cajun fare. How about you? How about any fun restaurants did you get to go to?
I did. Like my trip to San Francisco. I was on the Coach K train all the way through the NCAA tournament, and I have a friend in Memphis who asked me, "Well, what cool restaurants did you go to in San Francisco?" And I'm like, "You don't understand how this works for me in the NCAA tournament. I see, and this is true in San Francisco. I saw the inside of my hotel room, the hotel lobby on the way to the Uber, the inside of the Uber, and then the inside of the Chase Center in San Francisco. So my dinner was, one time I ate in a hotel restaurant, which wasn't great, so I didn't go back. And then I had 3 Chipotle deliveries. And then one time I went for a walk on Saturday, game day. I went for a walk over the overpass to the other side of the highway to where the In-N-Out burger was. That was my San Francisco restaurant fare. So I got a little bit more done in New Orleans. I went to Mr. B's Bistro with a friend on Sunday night. We had a nice dinner, and then we found an Italian restaurant. Me and some of my friends from Fox went to an Italian restaurant that was kind of off the beaten path, and so we were able to get a res on Friday, and it was really nice. It was very pleasant.
I just want to say that, Mike, your story is validation to me because I feel like 90% of people think we just eat hot wings and drink beer while we watch games. And, if there's a good enough story, we'll write something about it after the game. It's like there's a little bit more that goes into it than that. It's not always the glitz and glam that everybody just thinks we're sitting around eating games in our sweatpants.
On Saturday, the game day, the 2 semifinal day, I wanted to eat early meal because I don't eat press food. So I went and I couldn't find it.
Horrible. It used to be it used to be really good back in the day.
I'm not making any judgments, but I got sick in around 2007, 2008 doing that. And so I swore it off for the rest of my career, and I haven't gone back on that. I'll take the free Diet Cokes because it's hard to get to the concession stand. But I don't eat press food at all. And so I was looking for a restaurant, and I couldn't find anything around my hotel. They closed the coffee shop in the hotel at noon, which was really nice considering it was Final Four weekend. They never catch on. There's like 10,000 people in town, and they still go by the same hours. Houston did that 2016. I went for a walk on a Saturday afternoon, probably game day that day too, and the whole town was shut down. There was nothing open, even though like there were 30,000 people in town. They never catch on. So I went to the Superdome thinking I might break my rule. And then I saw that they had barbecued beef, and I'm like, no, that's what happened last time. So I didn't. So I didn't eat all day. I just cruised through, and then I had a couple. They brought some post-game pizza into the press room, so I had a couple pieces of Pizza Hut pizza. That was my fare for the best restaurant town in America, or one of them, on Saturday. That's how it goes sometimes on this beat.
Well, and that's a lot more understandable because San Francisco is gigantic. Nothing is really close to anything. Getting around is tough. New Orleans is if you haven't been there, it's not really that big.
No.
And especially now after Katrina, it lost like 250,000 people, I think. It's like 500,000 people thereabouts population-wise, I think now. But it's easier to get around, especially if you're downtown. You got everything close by, so that's what I meant. But yeah, when the Big Ten tournament started in Dayton, I forget what I think all I had was press food that night because it got out of there at like 1:30 or something. So it was like grabbing a bag of popcorn on the way out. And hopefully an apple in the hotel, and then driving all night. And then you get to Portland. I had Domino's one night. I had nothing one night. I had pizza again. Let's see. I did get to go out to one nice little pub, but I think that was during the day. But yeah, it's too hard. But at least in places where you can get around, sometimes it makes it a little easier, and especially one like New Orleans where you can get around, and they're known for their restaurants. So
yeah, just so listeners know, though, that is not a complaint. That is just I wouldn't trade that for anything. It's just an explanation of all the people who think that you just go to restaurants and that sort of thing. Like when I'm during the tournament, I am in my room or in the building because I am watching everything I can get my eyes on. That's the reason that happens. Others maybe take it a little less seriously, but my job is to know everything that's going on in the tournament. Some people, it's just their team, and that's totally cool. I was that person once too. But I want to know everything that's going on. So that's why the tournament is all about the hotel room. Yeah, I used to go to sports bars because you couldn't see everything, but now with an iPad and a phone and a computer and the TV in the room, you can see everything. So you don't have to go out to sports bars and do that, and it makes it easier to work as well. 2018, I did go to a sports bar in Pittsburgh with my best friend was in town. I went out to dinner with Adam Zagoria from New York and Zach Braziller and Steve Serby from the New York Post. And so when Virginia got upset 16-1, and I couldn't ignore that, I had to write in the sports bar. I just whipped my computer out and started to write about UMBC taking out Virginia, the first 16 ever to beat a 1.
Yeah, and I was thinking of all those other two places where I did eat while I was out there was at the sports pub across from the Press Hotel, which was, that was horrible service. And you're sitting there, it's been all day, you're starving. And I mean, I remember the one night I was starving and I'm like, oh my God, we're never going to eat. I thought, and then there was a group of us there together, and I'll give him credit. Tom Brew was buying around, and it was trying to, and I wish Kevin was here so I could rag on him while he right here because I would do it. But so they're trying to get that round in, and it had been a while. You couldn't get the guy over there. It was like that was like a monumental thing. Well, Kevin's going to get his food order in, by God, come hell or high water. And I'm like, Kevin, and he's in the middle of trying to get this 8-9 person drink order. And I'm like, Kevin, Tom's trying to buy around here. Don't confuse it, man. I'll never get it in. And he literally grabbed his hair, and I'm like, I thought he was going to pull his hair out. And I'm like, going, oh man, that's how rough it gets, man. He's probably he needed some sugar or something. It's like you're at these places for 14 hours.
True.
All day. I mean, and what you're walking around, and it's a lot of times it's on concrete. So it's not nearly as fun as people think it is.
When would it not be on concrete?
Well, I meant carpet,
area or what?
Carpet. Some of that they lay down the carpet at least.
Oh, okay.
You know, well, they lay this. Well, every time I arrive, Dustin, there's always a red carpet there.
Well, that explains everything.
Yeah.
You don't have that? You guys aren't getting that? Man. So anyway, yeah, it was fun though, but I'm not going to call it a great Final Four, but we just said earlier, it was a great 2 out of 3.
Well, you're not. How often are you going to get 3 great games? I mean, that's
no. I agree. So, I mean, I thought it was the championship game was superb. I thought the tournament was superb. Overall, it was. Was this the best tournament ever?
Oh, there's been some pretty amazing ones. It's hard to say that because you'd have to go back through 65 games, 67 games. A year, so I'm not sure, but it was a great one. It really was good. I think part of the problem with saying it was the best tournament ever is the teams weren't great. That's part of what made this tournament what it was. This was not a great year for college basketball teams. There were some great players, and we saw a lot of those in the Big Ten. But it wasn't a great year for teams. Very, very poor point guard play. Not universal, but across the board, there were very few significant point guards. And you can see that reflected in our All-America team at Sporting News or anybody else's. I mean, the only point guard in the country who got any All-America attention at all was James Akinjo at Baylor. The only one. And, I mean, that changes the way the game is being played. It's as if you had a college football season with no good quarterbacks. That makes a difference in how the game is played. So I think that I think it was likely to produce a lot of upsets, and it did. And some of the games were fabulous. The Duke Texas Tech game was fabulous. Michigan State game was fabulous. Obviously, the Carolina game, the championship game was wonderful. Some of the regional finals were duds, which was almost inevitable when St. Peter's made it. That Carolina was not going to make the mistakes that were made by other teams playing them. They went out and took that game over right away. So that game was kind of a dud. And then the second half of that last 10 minutes or so of the Kansas game against Miami was a dud. But it was really good up until Kansas flipped it because there was the chance that KU could go out to a 10 seed through the first 35 minutes or so, 25 minutes, I should say. There was a lot of good stuff. And, I think that I think that what we expected to happen happened. We expected it to be a difficult time for the favorites, and it was. And we did have a 1 seed win it, but they really had to sweat to get there against the number 8 seed.
Well, not only that, the Final Four itself. Sorry to cut you off, Dustin. No, but had Villanova not gotten that dealt that bad card with the injury, it would have been just as for a year that I've talked about all the parity and not having great teams everywhere. It would have been a tournament that had 4 of the absolute best teams in, at least at the end of the year, without question. North Carolina is one that hadn't played well all year long, but found that gear at the end of the year. Kansas had a good run all season long. Villanova, I guess, picked it up, but it's Villanova. Jay Wright, that's what they do now. They go to the Final Four and win national championships here of late. And then, of course, Duke making a little surprising run as deep as they went, because I didn't think that the freshmen could go that long, but man, they turned into sophomores all of a sudden, and they caught a gear. But it would have been the bluest of blue blood finishes you could, minus Villanova scratching on blue blood territory, but it ended up where the chalk says you're going to end up, which is crazy. That how we got there was just nuts, I guess.
Yeah, I think that Carolina played really well during March and got a lot done, and taking out Baylor was important for them, because once they did that, they had a shot. And I thought UCLA played Carolina great and maybe should even have advanced, but Jaime Jaquez was hurt too, and that affected them. He shot very poorly in that game and had a lot of good chances, and probably should have allowed some others to take their chance, given how much he struggled because of the ankle. Because defensively, they did everything they needed to win that game, with the exception of allowing Caleb Love to shoot from 25 feet. What are you going to do, tackle him? He's out there shooting from 25 feet, man. There's not much you can do. And he made a bunch of them. 6 3-pointers in the game, 5 in the second half. There wasn't much that UCLA could do, and they still lost close. So I thought that was one of the better games of the tournament as well. And then, as I said, those Duke games were terrific. I was at every one of them, and they were almost every game that they played was an outstanding game.
The Duke Texas Tech game may have been the best game of the tournament.
Yeah, it was fabulous. The Texas Tech, such a rugged group, plays such tremendous defense. They're not a great offensive team, and Kay was very smart to go to the zone and basically use that against them, and it worked. And until the very end, when they flipped back to man, and they were able to do that effectively enough to finish the game.
Mike, I wanted to ask you real quick. The Big Ten, you mentioned, had a lot of really good players: Johnny Davis, Kofi Coburn, Keegan Murray, Jaden Ivey. But for the second straight year, they didn't get to the Final Four. They didn't get past the Sweet 16. Is it a style thing? Is it just a bit of a rut? Is it officiating? Is there an answer to why the Big Ten has struggled the last few years, or is it just one of those things where it's just been the matchups?
Dustin, I think people are trying to make it into a thing when it's not a thing. I mean, last year was terrible. I have no reservation about that at all. And so, just so people understand, and sometimes most people don't allege this, but some people do, because I work for the Big Ten Network, I'm defending them or whatever. Look, last year was awful. I mean, 2021, they were terrible. They had multiple number 1 seeds, a 2 seed in Ohio State, and none of them got to the Final Four. Only one got to even the Elite 8, and only one got to the second weekend. It was a dreadful performance. This year, I don't know how people can miss the fact, like, they put numbers by their names, okay? Right. 1, 2, 3. If you're a 3, you're supposed to lose in the Sweet 16. If you're a 1 or a 2, you're supposed to play in the Elite 8. Big Ten didn't have any of those and didn't deserve any of those. It was a better year than they probably expected to have, to be able to get 9 teams in the field. But 5 of them, I think 5 were seeded. 5 of them were seeded to lose in the first 2. First 2 rounds, either first game or second game, and then beyond that, you had Purdue, you had Illinois, you had Iowa, and Michigan. What was the fourth? Wisconsin. Okay. So yeah, I mean, a couple of those didn't do great, but they didn't do. They lost 1 game earlier than they should have. Michigan won 2 more games than they should have, so it kind of balanced that out a little bit. I did the math on this, and the Big Ten won 1 fewer game than they were seeded to win. That's something that you won't see because it's so much easier. So many people out there want to bash the Big Ten. It's so much easier. How come all your 11 seeds aren't making the Final Four? I mean, really, that's what they're asking. Right, they had 2 12 seeds, an 11 seed, 2 7 seeds. And why aren't they in the Final Four? Well, because that's not usually what happens. It was not a vintage year. They had several great individual players that were not surrounded by full great teams. The one true disappointment of this tournament, Purdue, yeah, losing to St. Peter's. I'm not excusing that. They came out and they played that game gingerly, unlike Carolina, which came out and said 15-8. That game's not happening. 15-3, that game shouldn't have happened. It's different in the first round when everybody's sort of feeling their way into the tournament. But by the time you get to the Sweet 16, you've had a week to prepare, 4 days, 5 days, whatever. That game should never have been a game. And the players did not perform in that game like they should have. I thought that there were some mistakes made in terms of substitution. I realized that that Travion Williams was tired around the 8-9 minute mark and had to come out. There's no way I would have put Zach Edey back in that game. I don't care what the season says. You're playing to win that game. Zach was not ready to play in that game for whatever reason. The way it was officiated, whatever, I don't know. But he wasn't the right player to go back in that game. If Trey has to come out, you either spend a timeout, which they may not have been able to do. They may not have been able to afford it, or you go smaller. And you go from there for a few trips until Trey's ready to go back in the game. Zach Edey could not play in that game at that stage, and that was a mistake. So that game is the one thing that I will not offer a quote excuse for on the Big Ten standpoint. But the rest of it, getting 9 teams in there was an impressive performance, and they earned those 9 teams. But I didn't expect them to do great in the tournament because the teams weren't complete. Wisconsin didn't have enough to go with Johnny Davis by the end of the year. It just wasn't working anymore. Illinois, the injury to Andre Curbelo never really resolved itself. Iowa, bad matchup, first round, could have won, didn't perform well enough, went home. But I don't think it was the idea that because you had 2 tournaments in which you didn't do particularly well means you never do well is become a kind of a persistent Twitter thing. And just go back to 2010. They still have going into this year. They had more Final Four teams than any conference at all. They had the second best winning percentage of all teams going back to 2010. They had the second most victories total. It's just something that people do because, honestly, Dustin, they jet into March. They act like they know what they're talking about, but they don't really pay any attention to the rest of the season or even the history that they're supposedly attaching this league to.
I know we've gone a little long. Derrick Jackson's in the green room, but I have to ask. Tiger Woods, hello, friends, at the Masters. I mean, how big is that? Is there a bigger sporting event that could potentially happen this year if he were?
Yeah, it just happened on Monday.
You think that'll be bigger than if
Bigger to
Tiger
me.
Woods run?
Bigger to
That
me.
was it. If Tiger
He's
Woods
not
was
gonna
well,
win, man.
I know. No. I know
That's
that.
like it's not
No,
gonna win.
I know that. Just if he was in contention on Sunday.
Yeah, we had Duke and Carolina and the Kansas in the Final Four. Still think.
Oh, it was a great, no question. But this just seems to capture. I mean, even when he was healthy, he just would do things. But now the comeback. Everybody always loves the comeback story of anybody. But everybody loves the greats. That's why they want to see the Dukes and the North Carolinas play. They want to see. They want to hate Kansas as the cheating Jayhawks. But you know what? Everybody, we all want. We want the marquee names in sports, and then you add a comeback like that from Tiger Woods. That would be just incredible. But I'm thinking the TV numbers are going to be insane.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
I'm very surprised.
80. So we'll see. I think he's going to go out and shoot 80, and all the pre-tournament hype is going to be calmed down.
We'll see if he's going to make a liar out of him. I appreciate you, Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News. Hey, I didn't get to ask you, what do you have out latest?
My latest was grading the coaching hires, which includes one or two close to home. Including Thad Matta at Butler, which launched yesterday. I also have my preseason, way too early preseason top 25, which we dropped Monday, and those are always fun. And what's fascinating about those things is like I'm starting with a complete blank slate. I have no idea what to do with it, and then I put it out there. And
Can we just take a quick break and come back and just talk just a few minutes about that? I can't not let that go. We'll bring Derrick in with us, but we're going to take a quick break. Brought to you by our friends at Feast Market and Cellar. You want some excellent choice in wine and many other things. Part of the WOW Network, and go to your WOW Club, and that counts in there as well. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Man, not having this music just throws me off. Derrick Jackson, how are you? I don't think you have met Mike DeCourcy. Mike DeCourcy with the Sporting News, Fox.
Hi, Derrick. How are you?
Good.
Derrick's
Mike,
a former Bill Mallory era player for IU, but he doesn't come on for football as much as for what should I say? Human caffeine.
And Mike, man, listen, brother. When we get back on there, I gotta get with you on that last little piece of the segment when you guys were just talking about how big do you think Sunday or Monday was bigger than the Tiger Woods comebacks? Man, I'm gonna save that for airtime right there. I got
all right, baby. Well, I will say I was surprised that was the take. Not that it's not right or I don't disagree with it, because numbers are numbers. It'll probably definitely have more numbers.
Like the Masters draws like 6-7 million people. Like at
bad
one time,
day.
like it draws like 10. It drew 10 million people on a finale in 2020 or 2019 when Tiger was doing it. It's not as big a TV event as people think it is. I mean,
not as big a TV event, I guess, but is it it's bigger sports story?
Yeah, and that'll be my point.
But it depends on how it turns out. Just playing in this thing does not make it that. I do not think that. He's got to do something. Would have to do something spectacular, and that would, for me, be at least in contention on Sunday. I'm no way am I expecting him to win. I mean, I'm just wondering how he's going to get through, playing probably 6-7 straight rounds there, because he went down to practice. You play in the par 3. You got 4 days of rounds in itself. So, Keegan, are you trying to tell me something?
You know what the worst?
This is going to be a 6-minute segment because we got Chris Denari coming up after.
Oh, you need to get me out of here, man.
Well,
I don't want to get on everybody else's.
We can just roll it forward. There's an open segment after that, right, Keegan?
After Denari, yes. Okay.
Absolutely. We'll just
So
that's what we
past
do,
this
man.
next
That's what we
break,
do. We just roll.
At 10:10.
We'll skip the next. How about we just?
Okay.
We're
right.
just gonna take one more break.
Okay. Make sure we're on the same page.
Executive production decisions.
All right. Back in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you here on this Thursday. It's a packed house as Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News, Fox and BTN is with us still. Derrick Jackson has joined us as well, and Dustin Schutte, of course, from Saturday Tradition. How is everybody? Derrick, how are you, man?
Man, I am good, great. A lot of things going on in the sports world. This past Monday was great. Got the Masters coming up. And Mike, my man, hey, listen, man. Listen, you got a lot of credibility, man. And I love to read your columns. Listen, I think, though, because of the name, I get what you're saying as far as the event itself, but because of the name. Listen, when you think basketball, an iconic name is Michael Jordan. Golf, Tiger Woods. Football, Deion Sanders. So with this whole comeback story, I think it'll probably, I'm not going to say it's going to blow it out of the water, but what I will say is that this is going to make a significant impact on the ratings. And of course, just like you said, Jim, earlier, that depends upon how well Tiger Woods does in the Masters. So that part I do agree with. But as far as, I think that this Masters tournament will compete with the ratings for Monday, in my opinion.
Well, that would be a first. I mean, the Masters doesn't usually pull in the kind of audience that the Final Four does.
Right.
Its audience is, although Tiger,
it's a numbers game. Yeah, it's there's no way from a numbers standpoint it can come close because you've got just such a gigantic demographic that follows college basketball, and then people who don't even follow college basketball that much are probably watching the Final Four, which that happens some for golf too, but it's a much smaller pool. So I mean, I absolutely agree with Mike on that. I was just wondering, like I said, the story in itself is gigantic, but I think that anytime it's an individual, that kind of makes the story bigger, I guess. Not bigger than the other thing automatically, but yeah, we'll see how it turns out. It could be like you said, it could be just big old dud. Go out there and shoot 80, and it's like, Tiger who?
That could happen, but when I think of the Masters, I think Masters is like the household names, like Tide, like Ajax. I mean, the Masters. I mean, it's an American tradition. So hey, I'm just thinking, man, this thing just might be a little different, brother.
If Tiger goes out and shoots 67, I think you might be right.
It's tradition. It's a tradition like no other. Unlike
any other.
Unlike any other. Got to get it right, man.
My God, Jim, it's only 5 words. Holy cat!
And I guarantee it. And I would be shocked if they don't have that trademarked.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
I'm sure they do. Yeah,
no doubt.
I mean, it's funny. So I don't want to hang on that all day, but here's something else for you, Mike. I will predict. Let me be the first to predict Race Thompson will return to Indiana and sign a nice little NIL package for himself, and he will return to Indiana. That is my prediction now. I still think Trace Jackson Davis is going to do the same. And as a matter of fact, I'm not going to be shocked if Indiana not only brings those two back, but is able to land now I'm drawing a blank on his name. The kid from Montverde, Jason Hood-Schifino's teammate, Malik Renault, a big 6'9" kid who decommitted from Florida after White moved up to Georgia. And he's not going to go to Georgia because Georgia is more than likely just not going to be very good for at least a season. At least.
They're building back for 6 wins, man. It takes a little while most of the time.
Hey man, Iowa State was 2-22. That's nothing for that's a you're making a mountain out of a molehill. Come on. But I think that Indiana could end up being one of those teams that really is able to flip their roster with the ones that have left. The big question for me really is Xavier Johnson coming back? Is he going to be welcomed back? I don't think he should be. I've said he's got to go to me, but Derrick, you agree? It looks like. Mike, what is your take on that?
No, I want to hear what Derrick has to say since he's had such an immediate reaction.
Xavier Johnson, you got to understand, he ran afoul of a golden rule when it comes to Coach Woody, and let me remind you, he had already been in some trouble earlier.
Yeah,
this is not like the first time, and he probably will take his marbles and take his chances at the next level because it's just not happening. I'm thinking Coach Woody has a whole nother game plan, especially if Trace Jackson Davis comes back, Race Thompson comes back. Xavier Johnson, man, is probably so. At some point, you need to say to yourself, I've done enough. There's nothing more left for me to do. Let me go ahead and just bow out gracefully.
Yeah, I think with Jalen Hood-Schifino coming in, obviously you're starting off young at that position, but you're gaining significantly in terms of raw talent, and you have plenty of veteran experience around to guide you through that. So if Xavier decides to leave or it's decided for him, I think that they're positioned to do well at that position anyway. I could see where, if you get Trace back, you're going to be very good. Now, I mean, how very good, again, depends on a lot of different factors, but you won't be bogged down in the same way that you were with the veteran wings this year, that you frankly allowed yourself to be bogged down. That was a decision they made, but
drives me nuts too,
but they won't be. And then you'll have the terrific inside game, and you'll have really talented, at least one really talented young player in Hood-Schifino. So I think that there's a lot there that, with a chance to move that program forward, even with, some of the guys deciding that it's no longer for them.
Yeah, I think that I've already been on record as saying that he's just shown that for someone who's supposed to be a senior, he's not a leader. Not only, he is, but he's a leader in the wrong direction. And that's just a risk that you can no longer take when that has happened on more than one occasion. He didn't exactly come here with a sparkling clean resume from Pitt. So I think if you're really focused on winning next year, I know that he really turned the season around, but if what he did at Northwestern has teeth, I think you got to make the next move, and you go to the portal and you replace him. But I think that for the concept of the team itself, you can't have that around. I mean, I'm sure Jalen Hood-Schifino's mom, CJ Gunn's mom, Banks' mom are wondering, what are they going to do with this? They see this stuff because CJ Gunn's mom commented back at the Northwestern thing in a positive way about the discipline. So they're paying attention. That's where their kids are going. They want to know that they're taken seriously and not able to just run roughshod all over the place like back in the old days. Mike?
Yeah, I agree with that, man. I mean, because you say old days, I know Coach Mallory days, that wouldn't have happened. I mean, it may have happened once, but I guarantee it would have been dealt with in probably the most severe manner. It just was for us, it just was no nonsense. So I'm sorry, Mike.
No, it's like I said, I wanted to hear from you. Absolutely. I think there are circumstances where something that happens can be mitigated, but this is multiple issues within the last 3 months. I'm not sure that that can be just overlooked, and especially when it took you so long to get him on the same page from a basketball standpoint. It took almost, until February until that was worked out. So, I think there's some value in deciding that that maybe it's best for a parting, and that and obviously that's up to Mike and that's up to Xavier and what they decide is best for him. But it wouldn't shock me if that's the direction they go, and it wouldn't be something that I would quibble with. Two things that happen in the space of 2-3 months is a lot.
Yeah, I agree with you, man.
What do you do? That's Coach Knight.
Lots of soccer coming up for you as well, Mike.
Yeah, obviously the U.S. is qualified for the World Cup now. After everything that's happened, took a long time, took all the way to the final day, but they did make it. And so they're headed to Qatar, and we'll spend the next 6 months or so trying to remember how to pronounce Qatar, because it's still up for debate, and then trying to figure out who will be on the team that goes to Qatar. And it starts right around Thanksgiving. This is the first World Cup that I'm aware of that's being played in the end of the year instead of in June. It's always been the time. They're going to interrupt all the European club seasons for that. So it's a strange thing that they've done with the World Cup. They went a long way out of their way to do it, but it was basically between Qatar and the U.S. For this World Cup, and a lot of things went wrong to put it in Qatar, and I'm not in favor of any of them. But when I was writing the story of the qualification on last Wednesday night, one thing it dawned on me that team going through that process, they needed that process, and they wouldn't have had it if the World Cup had been placed here instead of Qatar. The U.S. would have been automatically in. And after what happened in 17, 18, they needed to go through this. They needed to have themselves pushed to the wall. So I think it was a good experience for them to have it. And then next time they won't have to go through it because the World Cup will be coming here. And so I'm glad that team had to go through all the challenges that they did.
I'm going to go with Qatar since I'm in Bloomington. And
I get it.
The little 5 is right around the corner, baby.
Yes, it is.
Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News. Make sure you give him a follow. Cannot thank you enough. Look forward to getting you back on next week, and we'll pick up on some of this because there's a lot that's a lot to be unpacked still. As the what is it? What do you call it in Major League Baseball or any of the pro sports trading
Hot Stove
season?
League? The Hot Stove League? Is that what you're saying?
Well, in the trading season, the off season, the free agency market.
Yes.
A lot can happen in free agency and college basketball over the next couple of days, but look forward to it, buddy. So I'll let you go.
Jim,
Thank you so much, man.
Nice to meet you, Dustin. Good to see you.
Nice to meet you too, Mike. Dustin, nice to meet you guys, man.
Hey, Derrick, before you go off, did you see that Vince McMahon's grandson is coming to play football at Indiana?
I read something about. I was going to ask you about that. So that is, that's not just fake news. That's real news there.
That's for real, man. That ain't no fake news. That's all real.
Okay. Some things you gotta go to some credible sources for that. And that's why I said if it comes from Jim, it is real, man.
Jim just brought it off the top rope, baby.
Yeah.
Boom.
Well, I was just glad if you watch the girls' national championship, the point guard, Destiny Henderson. Destiny Henderson is here from she's here from Fort Myers. So that was exciting news that we have a homegrown talent that was in the national championship and actually won, and I think she was the MVP. She's a great baller. She's a senior, projected to go somewhere between the 1st and the 9th pick in the WNBA draft coming up here real soon.
Well, that's awesome. Congratulations, man. And look forward to getting you back on next week. And we'll be back on a little bit more regular schedule.
Okay, no problem, man. Hey, listen, man, it's great, man. Sometimes to go off the scale, man. Go off the grid, man. You gotta take those chances, brother.
I love it. Actually, I prefer it. We're wild like that here, right, Dustin?
Exactly.
That's right. You never know what you're going to get with us on a Thursday.
It's like a box of chocolates, baby.
I see that, man. I'm glad I'm on Thursday show, baby. Appreciate it, guys. See you next week, Jim. Take care, Dustin.
The great Derrick Jackson.
Hey,
We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends at Feast Market and Cellar. Make sure you stop by and get yourself a fine bottle of wine and some great cheese, all a part of the Wow Club, and you can add up points on that as well. Back with the great Chris Denari right after this. Hello, Chris Denari. How are you, my friend? He can't hear me.
Uh-oh.
Nope, that ain't what I want. That's the wrong
He's also
one.
muted, it looks like.
Yeah. Chris, you're muted if you could hear me.
I don't think he can.
He's reading something. It looked like he was.
Preparing for the final 2 games of the year.
What? Where the hell am I looking for? Oh, yeah. What?
Huh?
What'd you say?
I said preparing for the final
Come here.
What's up, my man? How are you?
Just have the Masters on.
Yeah, baby.
I don't tee off until after 11.
Okay.
This is what I was gonna say.
I had to request a late tee time.
The thing that I hate about watching the Masters is I usually play golf a few days after, thinking, "Oh, this isn't that hard of a game," and then you shoot 102.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the great thing with ESPN Plus and Paramount. I'm watching on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, I am too. 4, 5, and 6 is what I've got it on right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can watch on Paramount too. I mean, I think it's the exact same telecast. It's just you got multiple ways to watch it.
Right. I can see it in the reflection of that picture behind you.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
I've got my laptop here. I had to bring the TV into the kitchen so I could do the radio show and watch the Masters at the same time.
Yeah.
You got to give us at least a 30 call, Keegan.
30?
Well, you just got to call out 30. You got to count it down, but just say 30 seconds.
Okay. Yeah, I got you.
No, I think
Fred?
you should count down from 30.
Couples
30
is playing
seconds.
with a yellow golf ball.
I know. I saw that. Yeah.
Who is?
Freddie Couples.
Well, he's old. He can't see.
Oh, somebody else. Oh, Larry Mize is too.
He's also old and can't see.
Yeah.
What in the world?
Back in 10,
Oh, this is upsetting.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Thursday. It is opening day in Major League Baseball. It is the opening round of the Masters, and it is the day that Chris Denari joins us. What a triple crown that is, huh?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, quite a day.
Throwing the pressure on you already.
Yeah, I mean, I had a day yesterday. I went to Thad Matta's press conference, the new coach of Butler. I was my first year at Butler on staff as the voice of Butler was Thad's last year as a player, and then I did the games when he coached for 1 year at Butler, and so it was sort of a back to the future moment yesterday, seeing Thad named as the new head coach of the Butler Bulldogs. So definitely wanted to be there. It was bittersweet. I know we've talked about this over the last few weeks. Bittersweet for me because I'm a big LaVall Jordan fan. Great young guy. Played for Thad on that 2001 team that got Butler's first NCAA tournament game and win in 40 years. So mixed emotions, but yesterday really happy for Thad. And so had that.
have 2 more Pacers telecasts on Saturday and Sunday. Had the home finale on Tuesday. And then it'll be looking to the offseason. And I think it's going to be a very exciting offseason for the Pacers, starting with the lottery in May, the draft in June, free agency and all that. But I'll tell you what, I mean, I'll look forward to having some time off. I said, starting Monday, I become grandpa babysitter, landscaper, golfer. Probably in that order, which is great. I'd rather babysitter as a grandpa, number one, always got to do work around the house, and then an occasional round of golf. So that's what's on tap for Chris Denari.
Hey, getting back to you've been around obviously basketball in this state for a while, the high school, college player, and then from there, obviously, from the timing standpoint, when we were out in Portland during the NCAA, and maybe just before that, I'm pretty sure on the show I had even mentioned it, but I was thinking, boy, and I was saying it before anything had happened with LaVall Jordan, but the writing was kind of on the wall, and I'm like, boy, Michael Lewis sure fits into that, sure plugs into that deal real nice. He was a former assistant there. He is a coach in waiting. He is about to be a coach no matter what. And I remember saying that to someone while we were out there. I'm like, well, don't you think if they were going to do that, they would have fired Jordan by now? And I'm like, I guess. And by then, the Ball State thing was probably already halfway done because Mick Cronin threw out a direct comment that someone had asked about Michael. And he's like, well, the Ball State job's open. They'd be crazy not to be hiring Michael. So there was probably conversation already going on. But anyway, I'm just wondering about the timing. If do they regret not doing that a little sooner? And because Michael obviously goes on to become the Ball State head coach, and then just a week or a couple of weeks later, this happens.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I think if I look at it from Barry's perspective, and I like Michael Lewis a lot. I've known Michael a long time. Of course, he was an assistant at Butler. It's hard for me to believe he's been an assistant coach for 18 years. That really makes me feel old because I feel like I just watched him play. I think Barry was going to get somebody that had been a proven head coach, and that's no knock against Michael Lewis because I think he'll be really good. But I think where Barry was and he looked at the program and maybe why it took a little bit longer is he was going to get somebody that had been a head coach. And really, when you think about it, Thad not fits at all. And I think Thad dipping his toes back in at IU this year as an associate AD in relation to basketball, even though he wasn't a coach, it was to sort of get him back in. I also think he learned a lot by sitting out for 4 or 5 years. You look at this guy's resume; he's a Hall of Fame coach. I mean, he's won 75% of his games. There's nothing to question in his success, what he was able to do. I'll be honest with you, though, I was really surprised to see him jump back in to the head coaching ranks after he came to Bloomington last year and met with Indiana about the head coaching job, and then there was stuff that changed that. He was not able to do that from a physical standpoint. And I know he's better, but I just wonder, is he really good enough to where he can handle the rigors of, what a head coach goes through? We see all these young head coaches, what they have to go through, but especially when you're trying to revamp a program, it's going to take effort. But he does have the portal. It's a new age. And maybe that's something he's counting on. Well, I think he learns a lot that, you don't have to do things always the way you did it, as far as, you're going to immerse yourself and he's going to put in the necessary work to do what he has to do with Butler. But I thought the best line he said yesterday was, look, I'm not dead. My leg just doesn't work. I thought that was the best line. I mean,
And I've known Thad a long time. Like I said, I did his games when he played. I did his games when he was the coach of Butler. Butler is a special place. He's an alum. His wife's an alum. His oldest daughter's an alum, and his second daughter is an undergrad at Butler. He lives 5 minutes from Hinkle Fieldhouse. He lives across the street from Barry Collier, the AD. I mean, if you look at the alignment, it was a perfect opportunity for him. And to see all the people that were at the press conference yesterday, former teammates, former players, season ticket holders, that's the energy that I think Butler was looking for in naming Thad as the new head coach. And I've always said this, part of the offseason, it's like what IU went through last year when you went from Archie Miller to Mike Woodson. The summer was full of hope, right? And that's what Butler is going to ride right now for the next 6 months, because there's a lot of hope that Thad is the guy to turn it around. And when I look at his resume, and he'll put a really good staff together, I mean, this guy can coach. I mean, there's no question. And I think that's one of his great strengths is his ability to X and O. Now, it's not all about that, right? There's relationships you got to have and all those kinds of things. But I'm pretty confident in what I've seen over his career that he still has a lot left in the tank. He's still got his fastball. It may not be 100, but it might be 97, and 97 is pretty good.
Absolutely. Not bad at all. Let's see. The Final Four just wrapped up. I'm sure you watched that. A great championship game that we got to watch between the Jayhawks, which I wonder if they're putting that banner up with a perforated top or not. Well, I can't wait to find that out. How hard is it for you to take time to watch college games when you're so busy doing what you do and prepping and all that?
Oh, I watch a lot. I mean, I'm still a college basketball fan, and I watch it 2 reasons. I like to see who are the young stars in college basketball that are going to come to the NBA, but I like basketball. I mean, I grew up as the son of a high school coach, so a couple of Saturdays ago, I sat here in my office prepping for a game that night and watched the Indiana high school state championship games. I mean, I'll put a game. Everybody streams now. So I could watch, my son's former high school games. So I watch a lot. That was a very interesting game. I thought North Carolina had some really bad possessions at the end when they had a chance to win. I thought they settled. It's one of those situations where Hubert Davis, I don't know about you, Dustin, but a lot of times we talk about coaches, don't call a timeout, just let them play.
Yep.
Go organically, right? And on that second to last possession, I'm thinking, man, they need a timeout because they look very disorganized.
Well, and what I thought is it was like a Steph Curry type, I'm going to pull up and tie this game. And you look at it, it was a 3-point game. When they got the ball, there were 29 seconds left. Even if I don't know why it wasn't communicated that let's get something close to the basket and make Kansas make free throws, because that's a high pressure situation. And then if it comes down to it, we can hit a 3-pointer, at the end, or we can rely on a 3-pointer at the end of the game to try to, force overtime or win it. It was, I've gone down and taken pictures, and even with 9 seconds, there's Brady Manick standing wide open underneath the basket, waving his arms. That's an easy 2, and you got 8 seconds, and at that time, you call timeout, you foul, you're probably going to have 7 seconds left to get down the floor and maybe get a better shot or at least extend the game. So to me, that's where a little bit I think has I know the 3-point shot is now the more efficient shot, but I don't know. I'm still one of those guys that grew up with hit your chicken wing jump shot, right? And I've seen that shot go away from the game of basketball. And so some of these decisions, I don't know. I probably yell at Cloud.
Yeah, we saw how Kansas won the game, right? They won the game with 2 shots in the paint from McCormick.
Right.
I mean, that's how they won the game. And I'm a proponent of the 3-point shot, but they have to be good 3-point shots. It was funny because yesterday Thad talked about that in his press conference. He said, look, we want to play fast and we want to shoot threes, but we want to make threes. We don't want to just take threes. We want to make threes. And I just thought on that, the second to the last possession from Carolina, there was little to no ball movement. There was a lot of dribbling. And so they never created a good 3-point shot. Everything they took was challenged. And I know it's a difficult situation, but it's one of those things that I'm sure Hubert Davis is going to watch those last seconds over and over and over to think, man, what could I have done better? Because you were that close to winning the game. And that was disappointing.
One of the things,
and then of course, go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say, I think one of the things we should discuss, Chris, and you probably know this a lot better than both Jim and I, is David Benner is stepping down, doing his NBA farewell tour. I mean, what kind of obviously the last game at the field house, I saw a lot of the player reactions and everybody, the fans, the players, they seemed to enjoy each other. Reggie Miller was back in the building for that. Like, how special was that? And what's kind of been your relationship with him over the years? Because he's been doing it a really long time, and he's kind of an icon when it comes to the Indiana Pacers.
Yeah, I've known David, it goes back to the late 80s when he was a sports writer with the Indianapolis Star. He was the Pacers beat writer. But in the early 90s, before he came to the Pacers, he covered Notre Dame football and IU basketball. And so we were reliving that back in the fall of 1983. He said he had 4 unbelievable Saturdays in a row. He was covering Notre Dame football as they upset Florida State. The next week, Notre Dame got beat by Boston College. The next Saturday, after Thanksgiving, Butler was hosting Indiana at Hinkle Fieldhouse. It's the very first game I ever did on television. I worked with George McGinnis and John Laskowski. Butler upsets Indiana. It's one of the greatest headlines I've ever seen in the Star. It was Travis Trice and Jermaine Geis. It says, Trice and Geis put Indiana on ice. The next Saturday, it's Indiana, Kentucky. Kentucky is number 1. Indiana beats them. Those are 4 Saturdays in a row that David Benner covered. And then he went on to his long career with the Indiana Pacers. And so I worked with David in many roles. I was a media member at Channel 59 in the early 2000s. In fact, I was covering the team when the brawl happened. And then I made the move to Pacers play-by-play in 2006. And so I've worked with David on a daily basis for the last 16 years in my coverage of the Pacers and how he handles the media and the press. And, he was so good to me 16 years ago because here I was, a rookie who had never done an NBA game. And he was so very helpful in the information and all the things that you can do. And he had a special relationship with Reggie Miller. I think that's why it was so cool to see Reggie come back for Sunday's game where they honored David. But when you're a media relations person at any level, and especially in the NBA with so many games, there is so much that is put on your shoulders. And I thought it was a great tribute to him on Sunday with how the Pacers were able to honor him, and to have Reggie back in the building was something special.
And looking forward to the rest of that season going on. Now we've got the Masters that you obviously did not qualify for this year.
No, I did not.
Your tour exemption must have ran out, I guess.
My tour exemption and my inability to score at the proper score. Now, I couldn't even qualify if I was playing on a PlayStation game, right? I mean, and I could hit X and hit it 300 yards.
I'm looking forward to getting out, but playing on those kinds of courses, or if you haven't played on, well, I've never played on a course like Augusta, but the closest I would think to it would be the Pete Dye course, which is spectacular. It makes such a difference. You know that your surface is different. It changes everything about what you're doing. It's so weird because I'll be out here where I'm normally playing. I'm like, God damn it, got to hit around this root. There's there are no roots when you're at the die course. You don't have to worry about that stuff, and it's so much more fun, but it's awesome. But
I had a chance 10, 11 years ago, back-to-back years, my 50th birthday and then my boss's 50th birthday. We're out in San Francisco, and we made the drive to Pebble Beach, and we played Pebble Beach. It would have been like 2010, 2011. The first year I played, I was so nervous because you're just looking around. You're at Pebble Beach, and I'll be honest, I choked a little. I mean, I was not hitting good shots. I was just in so much awe of the place. And the next year I played much better. I mean, it was still awesome and it was still spectacular, but I had played there, so I had a little better feel of what I was trying to do. And it's a really good course when you're worried about where you're going to miss the shot, right? That's what creates, I think, a lot of the problems for golfers is you're on the tee and you're like, instead of thinking positive about hitting it a good shot, you're thinking, well, gosh, I can't hit it over here because then I'm dead. So that's the story with, I think, courses of that status, is that it really plays mind games with you in how you're preparing to play.
Do you know what my philosophy is? I hate playing. Like, if there's a crowd, I hate it, Chris. And I played golf in high school. I was terrible, but I got four free years of golf. My goal, I don't even care if it goes out of bounds. Just hit the ball in the air. Don't top it. If there's a group behind me, at least get it in the air and make it look like I'm competent and have played before. And so many times, I assume you off the tee,
When you were at Manchester,
you don't use public restrooms a lot then.
When you were at Manchester, Dustin, did you play Sycamore?
He played sick a lot. He played sick a lot.
Of course, there in North Manchester. What's the?
Yeah, I think we did, because they used to have if I remember correctly, they used to have it was like $10 to walk 9 holes, and maybe even 18. So we used to go out there every spring, and even in the early fall, we used to play it all the time.
Yeah, that's one of the places where I got injured playing golf. I was a junior at Wabash. We were playing a match with Manchester. And we were on one of the holes. We played like 15 or 16 holes. I was only like 4 or 5 over. I was going to shoot in the 70s. It was going to be a great day. And the fairways ran parallel. And one of the golfers on the other team on Manchester duck hooked one, and it came right at me. I couldn't get out of the way in time, and it hit my knee. I could not finish the round. I became incomplete. And I was like, man, I was going to shoot like 76 or 77. And I went to nothing.
Right.
I was a no count.
So you've got a rivalry now with Manchester.
Yes. Yeah. And of course, Evan went there, our oldest son. Right. So every time I would drive up there, that's the first thing that I would think about is, man, I couldn't even complete my round there.
There was a time when I was playing this winter in Florida, through 5 holes, I was 1 under. And I'm not a very good golfer. And I've never been closer to just walking off the course. I would take my incomplete and say I've shot 1 under for the day.
Have that red number 1 under there. Yeah.
Exactly. I would talk about, I would make up an excuse like, weather or something, or they closed the course when I was
It was
done.
suspended.
Exactly.
All right, brother, we'll let you get back to it and enjoy your day. And I hope you're making your pimento cheese sandwiches and getting all ready for today's Masters. Who's your pick to win the Masters?
I knew you were going to ask me. You know what? I'd love to see Rory win. I'd love to see McIlroy.
You know what? He was one of my picks. I've got to get my pool thing in, but appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, guys.
The great Chris Denari joining us here, brought to you by our friends at RE/MAX Realty. If you're in the market for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore and her 2 decades of experience. It could be the difference between you getting the home you want and not. Reach out to her, Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. Hey, we're back with more to finish this out. We're going to talk about what I think the roster is going to be next year. People I think are coming back. It's not just race, and much more. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
So you got about 4 minutes on this last segment.
Well, that sucks. See, we got way too far behind. I didn't get to talk about any of the stuff I wanted to talk about, especially with Trace Jackson Davis and Race Thompson.
They got something for tomorrow.
I don't want it to wait till tomorrow.
Oh, boy.
Wait a minute. Tomorrow's Friday. Who's producing tomorrow?
Me.
How'd you swing that?
How did I swing that? John asked me to.
I thought you couldn't do Fridays.
No, I'm skipping my first class. I don't need to be there.
San Diego State.
No, it's San Diego. I saw that on Twitter last night.
San Diego. Stay classy, San Diego.
Don't say it. Can't finish that joke on YouTube.
I got to run to the store and get some beer after this.
I feel like you're a Blue Moon guy.
I honestly will drink just about anything other than Heineken. We have like 3 or 4 breweries around me. So a lot of the stuff I get is local. But I'll drink Miller Lite, Bud Light. I mean, literally anything. Coors Light's another one I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I used to drink a lot of Coors Light, rodeo, and I cannot drink Budweiser, and I cannot drink Miller Lite.
Really?
30 out.
What?
30 seconds.
You got to be more assertive.
15 seconds until we exit break.
Well, you don't have to be more wordy, just more assertive.
Is that a Wonder Woman hat?
5. Whataburger. 4, 3, 2.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat, coming to you here on this Thursday. Another fun day. Already, Derrick Jackson was along with us. Chris Denari, Matt Taylor. Man, did I miss
Mike DeCourcy?
Oh, and Mike. I forgot. Mike is not normally on today. That's why. Man, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Packed a lot in here today.
Loaded show.
Holy. Loaded like a baked potato, baby.
That's a good.
I just saw Steve Lavin got a new job. I was on it today. I just been nailing them.
Yeah.
What was the other one? What was the one I had earlier and I forgot already? But that was my favorite.
You had the Rock with McMahon. That was that was one. There was a third one, but I can't remember what it was.
That was quick. I need to get that out somewhere. Let's see. Yeah, I just mentioned Steve Lavin going to San Diego. Stay classy, San Diego. Met Steve in Dayton this year. He was doing the first 4 in for CBS. Super great guy. He was there doing the games with Avery Miller, Avery Johnson. And I saw a lot of people complaining about Avery Johnson, his calls. I gotta be honest with you, because I was working. I never heard it until later in the tournament. He's hard to listen to.
I don't know.
They work
I
the
don't-
ball inside here. They skip past it over here, but the man's not where he's supposed to be. He needs to come over top of that screen instead of going underneath. It's hard to listen to. It really was. I have to be honest.
Here's the thing. I think he's really knowledgeable.
Obviously knows what he's talking about. It's not about that though.
Well, but here's
I've got
the
a
thing.
face for. There's a reason. I used to be in TV, but I've got a face for radio.
I don't mind him. The thing I think there's a problem with is, and maybe I'm wrong on this. I don't know that he broadcast a game all season, did he? And then you bring him out for the tournament. Like, why is he not doing? It's like Bob Huggins being part of that stupid. That he was terrible.
It was awful. That's the one thing I don't understand why the hell CBS does this. They do that stuff instead of bringing in guys who are. This is what they do. Now, the one thing I do love is the crew at halftime, Charles Barkley and those guys.
Yeah, those guys do it all year though. Those, I mean, it's not the NCAA. They do it for the NBA.
Yeah, they're just. I don't understand why. I mean, it's just dumb.
I don't mind them bringing in a basketball coach to do it, but you've got to bring in somebody better. Like, Bob Huggins. Everybody knows Bob Huggins' personality. Like, why was he your first option? Maybe he wasn't. I don't know. But there are coaches who are far better at that than he is.
Dr. J said the most interesting game of the tournament was Purdue, only what Purdue can do, and flame out. Make sure if you're down in the Sellersburg area, you stop by and see Dr. J. Reynolds Family Dentistry. Gives you that championship smile, baby. Let's see. I want to make sure I'm behind on comments. Make sure I don't hit any of those good ones, man. Ross says that Nigel Pack is visiting Purdue today. I'm like, all right, Keegan. How many freaking guys? No, I guess they are losing, but that would just be like everything. That'd be like driving through Philadelphia, New York, and Denver and catching every light green for Purdue to land Nigel Pack. Everything seems to continue to fall right into place for them. Archie Miller screws up the recruitment of Trey Kaufman. Purdue would have never landed him in a million years over Indiana. And then all of a sudden, bam, out of Purdue. Timing wise, the Nigel Pack thing. Now, we don't know what's going on with Xavier Johnson, and it's
Jam, we're over. We're way over. We got to wrap it up.
Well, that's a fine time to tell me that.
I just love that you lumped in Philadelphia, New York, and Denver.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't think of another. I was trying to think of big cities really quickly while I'm sitting here staring and reading at the same time and listening to Keegan. So it's a lot, man. It's a lot, baby. So, but we're going to pick back up on it tomorrow. And we will do that. Tomorrow we got tons of basketball talk as Alec Lasley will be along from thehoosier.com. You can just cut that last break out. We don't have to have that, like I said. So we'll be fine. So that means we can actually go one more minute.
You're at 158.
I know what I am. So good. But yeah, we'll talk about all that tomorrow. Alec Lasley will join us. We're getting you caught up on the recruiting. Where is Indiana? I'm telling you, I've already said this. Race Thompson coming back next year. Mark it down. And I don't think Race Thompson would be coming back if Trace Jackson Davis wasn't coming back. I don't understand why Trace Jackson Davis hasn't announced that he's at least going to explore it, but doesn't matter. I think that they both come back. And I think Indiana is in really, really good position to land Malik Real. Really good. Now, if they could land, say, Nigel Pack and rid of themselves of Xavier Johnson, this team could
perfect way to end the show. Appreciate everybody on the program today. Derrick Jackson, Matt Taylor, Mike DeCourcy, Chris Denari, and of course, the bald and beautiful Dustin Schutte from Saturday Tradition. Thanks again to Keegan for getting the producing job done. Most importantly, thanks to you guys. Without you, we have no reason to be here. We're back tomorrow to do it again. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.